Before we move on, let's include our other modules depending on the URL parameter on a page. So the next one will be content equals get mode and number 4 for the interest, which if we go back and check, as you can see, number 4 is step 2. Then for the color, it will be mode number 4, for the search engine, 5, for the search engine 6, and for the summary, it's going to be our step 5, which is module number 7. Now we can save the file, and if we open our step 1, we can remove this echo content, as we won't be really populating content from the database, from the pages section. So we just remove this and close the PHP tag after the header, then open the PHP tag before our footer and close the PHP tag after this. Now, within this file, we will provide the header h1, which will read personal details. Then on a new line, let's put some message. Please tell us a little bit about yourself. Okay, then on the new line we will start with the form. Form. Now action we will leave as blank because we want it to call to the same page. Method we will use post, and inside of this form, if we start creating a table with cell padding of 0, cell spacing of 0, and border 0 as well, we will also add the class of TBL insert. Okay, so that's our table. Now inside of the table, we'll create the first row, which will display the heading with the label inside for first name. And let's put in between the label tags, let's put the label first name, colon, space, and a star symbol to indicate that this field will be required. Then we have table cell, and we start with the input, type text, name first name, ID exactly same thing, first name, class. Inside of the CSS file we have the class already created, which has name FLD. Then we have value, which we'll leave blank for now. Later on we will focus on creating sticky form fields for all these fields here in the form. So you've got our first row in the table. If we go to our browser, go to our page, click on our take our survey, you can see our first cell has been created together with the label. We have our heading, personal details, and our message above this. Now, what basically is happening here? Why are we using label? Label allows us to wrap the text which we want to be clickable in order to create the focus inside of the specific field. So let's say for attribute, if we put first name, then we have to have exactly same attribute. In this case, it's going to be ID with exactly same content. So if we want, by clicking on first name, the cursor to appear in our input, then what we need to do, we need our first name text wrap inside of the label, add for attribute with whatever we want to put in. In this case, it's going to be first name, and then create the input with the ID, which uses the same content as our for attribute. So if we go back, as you can see, if I click on this, you can see the cursor starts blinking inside of this field. Okay, now let's create another field, which will be last name. So if we copy the entire table row and paste it underneath, and now if we replace first with last, copy and paste for name and for ID as well, and obviously in between the label tags, let's change the label to last name as well. This field will also be required. Next table row, if we copy this again and paste it underneath, next one will be age, and obviously age in the label as well. This field is also required, so obviously 4 we paste into the name and into ID as well. Now we've pasted, but actually we won't be using input here. We will be using the drop down menu. So what we're going to do, we're going to remove this input and we'll type the PHP opening PHP tag, and we echo get age function, which we'll create in the next video. And we want to pass one parameter, which will basically be the name and ID for this specific drop-down menu, which will be age, the same as for attribute. Okay, so let's move to the next video. We'll create our get age function so that you can actually see how it's going to work.